Hi everyone, this is Abel. Welcome back to my channel. Today's a special day because you're celebrating 500 subscribers. Can you imagine that? Can you believe that? Because I surely cannot believe that. That 500 people and more, I think we're more now, yeah, decided to subscribe to this channel. That they're brave enough to stomach my terrible English and patient enough to endure my terrible English, and that they share my love for a certain specific kind of books, which is very niche, I understand, and that they want to know what I think about those books with very long-winded and very yappy and very prolonged, overly long videos, and that you're patient enough to wait for my really slow production times. Sometimes you have to wait weeks for new videos. So yeah, that is amazing for me. And I decided to celebrate this one with a tag. It's the Get to Know Me in 25 Questions. And hopefully those answers are kind of interesting for you too. And if you want to do something like that, if you have a booktube channel, because I'm supposed to tag someone at the end of the video, I'm not going to do that. Feel free to do that, to do a video inspired by this. Oh, by the way, I saw this for the first time in the channel Bookstalgic. The name of the lovely woman that runs this channel is Farah. Go absolutely and check it out because she has an amazing booktube channel. Her voice is so soothing. Her personality is healing. That woman could heal the world just by doing booktube. And yeah, go and check out that channel. If you do this tag, just let me know because I want to get to know you better. Yeah, let's do it. But before we start, remember that if you enjoy science fiction and fantasy books, this is the perfect place for you. And if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, leave a like, share this video. Thank you. The first question is, what's your channel about? And you had your answer in the intro, science fiction and fantasy. I realized that I tend to read more fantasy lately, because I dedicated basically the first year in September. We celebrated 1 year of this channel to helping indie authors to have more space and coverage and to get interesting reviews. And it happens that fantasy authors are usually more plugged in the community. It is easier to establish some kind of contact with them to get arcs, and sci-fi authors tend to not do that much, and that's because of that. I usually, by nature though, veer towards science fiction more than fantasy, and I'm trying to establish some kind of balance, not exactly a 50-50 relationships between fantasy and science fiction, but I'm trying. I want to be right in the middle. Yeah, I read other things. I read the occasional thriller, the occasional procedural, and even last year I even read a romantic book, amazingly, which was fine until a specific point, and maybe I'll talk about that one day. Well, maybe not, who cares. But yeah, those are mainly my two focus, and then I'll probably insert a few informations about my books when I finally get to publish my books in English, probably in 2025. Yeah, don't sweat on it. If you're interested, I'm happy about it, but it will take a little bit of time more. I'll let you know more when the time comes, okay? And how old are you? I'm 42, and I'll be 43 in December. What's your relationship status? I am single, but really single and happily single, if it makes sense. really happily single. Yeah. Did you go to college occupations? Not college, but in Italy we have an intermediate layer of education between high school and college, when you that if you want to go straight to working. So I got that kind of education, which was about advertisement, and that's what got me in advertisement. I am an advertisement art director, and I am a master of arts, because you're supposed to be able to end college and do an additional. You were supposed, at my times, many years ago, to be able to end college, to end high school. I'm sorry, and do an additional layer of education specifically to become a teacher. And I have that, so I'm supposed to be able to go in art school and teach guys to something about arts, specifically painting. That's my worker field, basically, before to getting into advertisement, but I don't have the guts and the patience to stay between teenagers all day, so I'm not gonna do that. And yeah, my work is in advertisement, and I've been working and carrying social media and graphics for a few businesses in my area for the last 5 or 6 years, and I've been a self-published author too for the last 8 years in Italy. You're probably tired of hearing me talking about that. I'm sorry, it wasn't the question. Okay, let's go on. Where are you from and live? I am originally from Venezuela. I was born in Venezuela. My mother is Venezuelan, my father is Sicilian. But I they decided to move to Italy when I was really young. So I have actually no memories of Venezuela, because I got to all the schools here in Italy, specifically in Sicily. And I lived in the eastern side of Sicily for most of my life until 24, when I was 24, which is 20 years ago. Oh Lord, I'm old. And then I traveled a little bit all around Sicily. I actually never spent a substantial amount of time outside of this island. And then I moved to the western side of Sicily, when I'm living here right now. I'll probably stay here for a couple of years more. Yeah, definitely. Okay, this is an hard one, and looking back, what would you have told your 10-year-old self? Okay, that it will get better. Yeah, I was not a happy child. I was not a happy toddler, neither a happy middle grader or high schooler. And yeah, because I struggled with depression for most of my life, from a really young age. But I will say to that young boy with red hair, if you can imagine. Yeah, red hair. Can you imagine? Yeah, it was many billions of years ago, and that it doesn't matter if you feel like people don't understand you, and you feel lonely, and if you don't have that much friends at that young age. It will be better if you got them, but you're not gonna die if you don't have them. And it is completely normal that people don't understand you, because your mind works differently, and you should not look at them don't think that they have any actual ill intent towards you. Just that they simply don't understand you, and because you're different, and by time it will be easier because you will acquire the skills that you need to actually communicate better with people. For most of the time you'll still feel that you really cannot relate to 99% of the people you'll meet in your life. You will get better and having peaceful and fulfilling relationships with people, so it will get better. And if you don't understand other people, that's fine too, because I told you, just be brave, just keep doing your thing. Life will get easier, it will get better. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with you, okay? You're fine, and it will get even better. You'll be happy. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Tell us about your family. I have a big family. I have one sister and 5 brothers. We are 7. And they have a couple of them have children, so I have nephews and nieces, and most of them, though, they live far away, so in the northern side of Italy. So here in the island we're just me and my sister and my mom. Yeah, we're a big Italian, half Sicilian family, half Venezuelan family, I'm sorry. Very loud, really chaotic, with big feelings and big problems. And we don't spend that much time together anymore because of how far we live away. Yeah, we're a normal family with really nice people in it, with really solid foundations on what we feel it's right and what is needed to make our family work as a group. It's not that easy because most of men, we're all men, and we have huge difficulties communicating our feelings and what we think and what we want. So we often end up fighting in a very passive-aggressive way. Because we're men, usually we do that, especially Italian men. But we are loving family. I realized there's definitely worst all around the world. My father died 10 years ago. He wasn't a great person, but we still love him, even if we're still paying for some of these really stupid decisions that he made. But all in all, it's a great family, and those rare occasions when we get to spend time together, they're really amazing. So yeah. Number 8. What's your favorite holiday? So as a family, we are never been specifically attached to any kind of those festivities, but I can name you a season of the year that I really despise, which is summer. But on this point of view, it's a season that allows us to my family to spend more time together, because usually in Italy during the summer you have free time from job, and so it happens that my brothers they come and visit us. So not together, not all at once, but we spend a few days with one, a few weeks with another one. So yeah, that's probably the most fulfilling time as a family. Yeah, for the rest, national festivities or religious festivities, I have never been part of our routines as a family and as people. So yeah. Number 9, you have no budget. What's your dream vacation? Okay, so I'm not huge on vacations, because you have to understand that when you live in rural Sicily, especially on the coastlines all around Sicily, you basically have incredibly beautiful places to spend your summer and your winters too, because it takes very little, especially on the eastern side of Sicily, to get to the mountains, like an hour of driving, and then you have the sea at 500 meters. So you have incredibly good looking and really nice and really affordable and really cheap locations to spend your vacation. So I grew up blessed on that aspect of life. So I didn't need to plan vacations, because I had the beach there and I had incredible mountains there, and then just in a couple of hours of driving we have really rich historical sites. So as a person and as a family, the idea to save money, to spend time and go far away because you had to unplug from a really stressful lifestyle, it's not part of me as a person. I would like to have money to visit big cities with great sociological and historical importance, and of course to visit cities that have a huge artistic present in the world, to see Florence, for example, or to spend a little bit more time in Rome, that I actually know a little bit. But I will actually, so my ideal vacation is to stay in a place and get to know it a little bit, to spend a couple of weeks in a city. That's why I don't understand the appeal of cruise ships. When you spend a few hours in a city and then you get back on the ship, and then the next day a few hours in a city and then you get back on the ship, and you just think about going on the spa and eating a lot. I really don't get it. I would love, if I find a city interesting, I would love to spend some time in that city to understand what's going on. How it is to live there. I would love to see Tokyo, but even more to see rural Japan, for example. I have this boy crush with Vancouver. I don't know why, and I cannot explain it, but I really would love to spend a month in Vancouver, and I can't explain it. I cannot explain it. I'm sorry. And I would like to see all of those countries in the US where all during autumns all the trees become yellow and red. I cannot tell you what states those are, because I'm Sicilian, I'm focused on Italy, and those places look beautiful because we see a lot of TV shows and movies that had that aesthetics, and they look really interesting, and I'm really curious to see how you American people actually live in the far from the big cities. I'm really not interested in New York. It looks like we know everything about that place because of TV shows and literature and movies. I really am not interested in Los Angeles in any way. But other places, smaller places, when you can have a taste of how actually people live in, yeah, that I'm curious about. So my ideal vacation is to go in an interesting city and stay in that interesting city for a while, to get to actually taste a little bit of a different lifestyle from the one that I actually do on a daily basis. Name your biggest pet peeve. So and this is connected to a few a few things that in my mind work differently, and when I say that, it means that I am in the spectrum actually. So it means that I overthink a lot about things, and I don't do that that much now because I'm growing up and becoming older. I'm able to keep in check a few things that my mind does obsessively, but I still think a lot in advance to many things. I'm really anxious as a person, so I overthink the step that I do inside my house when I do even trivial things like cleaning or cooking. And I understand that most people don't do that to the extent that I do that. So for me, it is very hard to don't ask myself, why didn't you think about that specific detail ahead of yourself? So to not become worked up or angry because someone had a superficial attitude about a really small thing that it is incredibly important for me because of the way my mind works. So by instinct, I tend to be really disappointed and to get worked up when people tend to be superficial. But at the same time, I understand that what I consider superficial is not what most people consider superficial. So I learn to ease up a little bit. But my tendency, my mind works that way. I overthink stuff, and I try to organize things in advance because I don't. The mechanism of shame that you had when you were really young, and the fear of doing mistakes or feeling shame because you did something poorly, it never actually resolved itself how it is supposed to be resolved when you become a teenager and you become more self-aware of your limits and of your strengths. So it is something that I actually really battle with my life on a daily basis, but that's a me problem. So even if you do something that really disappoints me and makes me worked up and really angry, I will not show it to you. And hopefully you'll never get to know it, unless it is something really dangerous and something really specific that we are supposed to talk about. But usually it stays inside my mind. And so my list of pet peeves, it's endless because everything annoys me. Okay, but it stays inside my mind, and I've become better at brushing it away pretty fast. Okay, so yeah, it was a long answer, I'm sorry. What book changed your life? This is a really dangerous question to bookish people, because we will succumb to the need, to the primal need to talk about 100 books that changed our life. I will say that when I was really young, the feelings that I got by reading the first Dragonlance book, I'll never forget. Even if that story doesn't stand the test of time for me. On the other side, it really stands up, it really holds up today. It was the prelude to Foundation. I talked about this a few months ago, because it was my introduction to sci-fi. And the scope and the themes of that story. I was really young. I could not understand what was actually going on, but I remember how my mind exploded, getting to know how stories could be and how themes could be an integral part of story and fun and adventure. I will say that the one that had the most impact on me as a teenager was Magician by Raymond E. Feist, because it was the first adult fantasy book that I was not supposed to read because I was too young for that. But it was the first time that I read a huge tome in a couple of days that blew my mind, that burned me inside, that made me completely understand that I was in love with stories, but not just as a reader, that I want to be telling stories myself. And then as an adult, there will be an endless list of books. I tend to fall in love with authors and their stories. I will say that The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón is probably the one that influenced me the most, because it showed me that you can have a strong, really strong, incredibly charismatic authorial voice interlaced within every single line that you write. And that you can actually play with words, that you can play with the craft of writing words, that you can create lines that are so that sound like music, that pull at the strings of your art, that at the same time fire up your imagination. It was a revelation reading the whole Library Quartet by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, which is translated in English. You'll absolutely read it. And I'm cheating, yeah, because I'm mentioning more than one book, but who cares? It's my channel. And the last one, aside of the authors that I yap about constantly, you know what are my favorite authors, I will say that Shard of Honor by Lois McMaster Bujold was the first time that I understood what was character work. That book was not supposed to work with me because I liked plot-driven stories, multi-POVs, and huge battle scene. There's nothing of that in this book. It's a one single POV. It's a really slow burn. The protagonist is a woman. There is a good amount of romance too in the book. But the way Bujold create characters and create tension and resolve plot points and pushes the story forward, it's incredible. I think that if you love, for example, Robin Hobb, you will love Lois McMaster Bujold. So go and check her out. Absolutely, you'll thank me later. What simple invention improved the world? Okay, I had a couple of answers for this one, but the one I'm choosing to talk about is not exactly a simple invention because there's a lot of chemicals going on there, a lot of research going on there, but I think deodorants make our life better. You know what I'm talking about. I don't think I need to articulate it, okay? But soap and deodorants. Yeah, absolutely. Favorite movies and TV shows. I have a long list. I have a note on my phone and I am usually up to date. Not that often because I'm pretty granitic on my choices, and they're not necessarily eyebrow. They're not necessarily what most of people will tell you that they're their favorite TV show or movie. I'm not exactly a cinephile. I am attracted to a specific kind of movies. So my favorite one, without a shadow of a doubt, it's Inception by Christopher Nolan. I've seen that movie hundreds of times. I can tell you the lines by memory. I can dissect the shots. I can dissect the themes. I have listened to the music for years non-stop, and I keep listening that music when I need to enter in a specific mind state. So without the shadow of a doubt, that one. The second one is I'll talk about just top 3, but my list is, by now it has 33 movies. If you want to see that list, let me know, okay? The second one, controversially, is Rogue One by Star Wars. And I know many people really don't get it, because if you don't have lightsabers and the Force in a Star Wars movie, they don't understand it. But that is such an awesome movie. Aesthetically, it's beautiful. The characters are amazing, the story is perfect, and it has such a deep emotional impact with me, and it will take me hours to explain why. Just do with that information whatever you want. And then on an ex aequo, on the third place, I really cannot split them, it's a fairly recent addition. It's Dune Part 1 and 2, because of how beautiful and how compelling the story is, of how amazing the performance are, and the characters work. I actually think the book, those two movies are better than the book. Can they be compared? Of course they can be compared. But as an achievement, those two movies are peak modern cinema. They will probably peak cinema for the rest, for hundreds of years coming. I don't think that the novel... Okay, you're going to hate me for this. It is interesting. It is incredible for the world building and for the themes, for the ideas, and the whole world is incredible. It's amazing. But as a product, as a novel, on a writing style point of view, and on a delivery, on a plotting level, yeah, that's the hill I'm going to die on, and will probably lost a huge amount of subscribers because of this. So we're celebrating 500. Tomorrow will be 100, of course. But yeah, sorry, I'm not sorry about that. About TV shows, I'll say The Expanse, of course, because I think it's a masterpiece on performances, on the character development, on the aesthetics of it. It is beautiful. It's mind-blowing. It managed to do better things, to improve the novels in a way, and it loses a little bit a good chunk of the novels because it's an adaptation too, exactly how it works for Dune, that they were not able to convey the whole scope of the book inside the movies, and it's the same thing for The Expanse. But there is less of a divide between the TV show and the movie when we're talking about The Expanse, because the writers were directly involved in the production of the TV show, so it's more evenly balanced. Then in my heart we have Fringe, which I still think is the coupled with Alias, it's the best thing that J.J. Abrams ever did, and it never quite reached those levels again. And because of the mystery, because of the actors, because of the aesthetics, the special effects, and the stories, and the ending, and the emotional gut punches, it's incredible. And then I'll say Andor, of course. Andor is the best Star Wars product coupled with Rogue One, but it is also, I think, the best TV show of the last decades. It's better than the House of Dragons. It's better than Game of Thrones. It's better than anything else. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Because of the aesthetics, because of the performances, because of the story. The dialogues in Andor will teach you what it means to write good dialogues. On any level. You can take the lessons that you get in Andor and become a better writer of novels. That's why I spend so much time if I have to give you a scale of my hobbies, reading comes always first, then TV shows and movies, especially because how deep novels can be and how incredible dialogues can be in novels, and that if you compare what you have in novels, movies and TV shows, they often look childish, almost stupid, but you don't have that in the books, in TV shows and novels that I talked about. They're on the same level, and Andor is so incredibly well written that will make you cry of joy. So go and watch it, and go buy DVDs, and for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus. Then describe yourself using 3 fictional characters. I will say I stick to books, okay? Otherwise it'll take too much time. I think as a child I can relate to Fitz from the first year trilogy, because of the difficult upbringing in many ways. There are huge differences, of course, but the way he connects with the world and the way he slowly developed his values and tries to stick to those values, and at the same time is forced to question those values, I can deeply relate, especially when I was really young. As I living in that pivotal moment between childhood and being a teen, I think Daniel Sampere from the Shadow of the Wind, series that I talked about by Zafan, because of his relationship with literature and how it influenced his life. And as an adult, I reference a video, the last video that I published, which was about incredible characters, and it is Amos Burton from The Expanse. And if you see that video, you'll understand why. Watching this one, you understand why. So, because of how unique his worldview is, and how later in his life, when he was a mature man, a grown-up man, he was able to improve his relationship with the rest of the world, even if we really actually doesn't understand the rest of the world. So those are 3 characters that I think they sum up in a pretty fulfilling way my personality. What was your dream job? When I was a child, until my teen years, it was to be a director. I was in love with movies even more than I was in love with books, and I knew every director of photography, all the members of the cast of any movie that I was going to watch. I was a movie buff, an absolute nerd. Then I shifted to growing up, and I understood that literature was much more interesting for me, because of the way it allows you to develop certain themes and things, and for the amount of control that you can have on a book, if compared with what you have to do with movies. There are huge collaborative effort. Yeah, my dream job, it's the one I did for the last 7 of 8 years, and I will keep doing, which is to be a writer. If magic was real, what spell would you learn first? Healing. I want to heal people. Share a favorite childhood memory. I was not happy. I don't have happy childhood memories. I have moments when I felt safe, when I felt accepted, and when I was chilling, okay? But happy, but the moment when I was enthusiastic about something when my mind was firing up, when my imagination was blossoming, are all connected to books. So I already told you what specific books influenced me as a child, so if you want to call those happy childhood memories, feel free to do that. What is your favorite social media platform and why? I don't know if YouTube can be called a social media platform. It certainly has components of social media interaction. So YouTube is my favorite. It's the one that I use the most on my phone. If you look at the stats of my phone on the well-being app, most of the time that I spend are on YouTube. I will say that as a proper platform of social media, even if the rest of the world probably doesn't concur with me, it's X, or what it was, X, or Tweet. I'm sorry, Twitter. Because of the community we have there with fantasy authors, fantasy and science fiction authors, and because I feel like finally in my old age I found my people there, because of the very wholesome and really collaborative interaction that I got there. Most of the people that got to those channels, the early adopters, they came from X and were other authors and readers and other booktubers. I know that as a platform is really controversial, and that usually people see Twitter as a place to have fights and to write controversial things and to be hateful. But for me, the small niche of people I interact with, they're incredible. They're people I will want to spend the rest of my life with, to be friends in real life, to meet in person. So I wasted years on Instagram trying to find my niche. That's impossible for the person that I am. It shouldn't be that way, because I'm a visual person. I live with photography and artworks and visual stuff. And Instagram was that until a couple of years ago. Then it pivoted to reels and silly videos, short videos, and I lost my mojo on Instagram. But at the same time, I understood that I was wasting my time, because the demographic of people that spend time on Instagram in Italy are incredibly different. In many ways, we have really few. We share very little common ground, but on X, it's amazing. The fantasy and sci-fi community, especially in this sphere, is incredible. So if you're not spending a little bit of time there, you're doing a disservice to yourself, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. If you could pick any book character, who would you spend the day with? Okay, an interesting characters. I will say Kelsier from Mistborn, top notch, absolutely. But there's recency bias for me, because I'm reading The Curse of the Mistwright by Jenny Wirtz, and the two protagonists, which are Erithan and Lysire, don't know how to pronounce them. Those two brothers, they're so interesting, because in a way I can relate for certain things to one, because he's grumpy, he's brooding, he's always living inside his head, and at the same time I can relate with the other one, which is very skilled in keeping contact with the rest of the world and being efficient in building relationships with people, and has this suave attitude, because are two sides of myself. By nature, I tend to stay inside my head, but I learn to deal with the rest of the world, with people, and it's fascinating to see them clash, and at the same time rebuilding a very difficult relationship between them, because in a way it is how I am in constant conflict with myself. It is really interesting. So, and of course, if you haven't read anything by Jenny Wirtz, just do it. What is your spirit animal? So I think cats. Yeah, a cat, because cats like to be liked, to be loved, but they don't like to be owned, if it makes sense. Okay, they like to be appreciated, and when they decide that they want to be petted, you can do that, but at the same time they do their thing, okay? They don't really care about the rest of the world, and they specifically and purposefully select the people that they care about. And that's me in a nutshell, okay? Yeah. What old person thing do you do? Okay. I'm getting there, okay? I'm getting there. My back hurts. I always have headaches. I always feel tired. So yeah, I'm close to actually getting old. But the things that I do, it's criticizing young people. Because I don't understand them anymore. Exactly like older people were not able to understand me because I was a teenager. So yeah, I often find myself being the old grump said, young people, can you believe that? Yeah, that's sad. But we laugh about it because that's nature. That's nature. That's how it works. Okay? Do you have a hidden talent? Not hidden, because growing up I needed to feel appreciated, and if I realized that I was even passable on doing something, I tended to obsess about that thing, trying to improve my skills on that. So I realized I was good at cooking, so I did the cook for 7 years. I realized that I was actually a very good cleaner, and I worked in a cleaning company for almost 7 years too. I cultivated my talents and my love for aesthetics and visual and arts, and I became an art director. The one thing I didn't have a chance to spend that much time on a semi-professional environment was music. I can sing, but I did that on a practical way, with a kind of real putting effort on it, just for a couple of years. And I was part of a really small band. We did rock, and we went out for the second year with a bang, with an exhibition. It was a huge party. I was singing for 3 hours. I was really happy with that, but it remains kind of hidden because it ended there. Then we went up, life separated us, me and the members of that band. We had we had it on different direction, but that's I look at that with really fond memories. It was amazing. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Probably still around here, in the same place in Sicily. I would love to move to another side of the island, which is full of beautiful places. Probably the town where I live in is one of the worst. Yeah, and probably in Sicily. Ideally in another country outside of Italy, but it's difficult. And because I told you that I have that crash with Vancouver, I would love to spend some time in Canada. Probably also live in Canada, but that's impossible. That's just a dream. And then in 5 years, I hope I will have my complete fantasy with a bit of sci-fi trilogy published in English, and to have a firm footing in that market and in the international market. And then I hope I actually started going to the gym again, to doing some activity, so being a little bit more healthy than I am right now, and a little bit stronger. Those are reachable goals aside the Canadian one, but who knows? Share an item and tell us its significance. I'm not going to share an item. I don't get attached to things. I grew up really poor, and so when you grow up that way, you can it ends up in two definitive ways. You have two options. Either you get to make money when you grow up and become extremely attached to things, and you understandably and somehow justifiably become a little bit greedy, and you really get attached to your things, and you don't want anybody to touch them because you had so little when you were really young. Or you become completely disinterested to material stuff because you know how fleeting it is and how easy you can lose everything. So I don't get attached to anything. I am the second option. I don't get attached to objects because you can lose them in that, like that. So I don't care. I don't care about cars and clothes and anything. The only thing I care, even if I'm not a collector, I'm a reader, are books. There are a specific couple of books that I really love, but it will take time to talk about them. So maybe we'll do a bookshelf tour, and I'll talk about the books that I keep in my house. I'll probably try to keep them for as long as I can, because I usually, if I don't reread the book, I will sell it and I'll try to acquire another one. So I don't collect books to have them forever. But there are a couple of books of series that, even if I am not a huge rereader, I usually reread the book if I need to reread it because I don't remember it quite clearly because I have to read another one in the same series. But there are books that I will try to reread just for the enjoyment of it, because of how amazing they were for me. But there will be another video, okay? Now tag some people. I'm not going to do that. If you like this tag, just do it. And if you want to share it with me, just do it, because I want to get to know you better. One of the most amazing things that we achieved in this year, because we started in September of last year, now we are in November. I was going to say October, but we're in November, is the community aspect of it. Reading your comments, getting in touch with you on X or on Instagram, getting to know what you're actually reading your suggestions, and giving you suggestions, giving you reviews, and reading your reviews. And being part of this community is the best thing it was the best decision that I have ever made. Or maybe in the last 10 years, the decision to start this booktube channel, it's been so fulfilling, and so it gave me so much joy. So yeah, I'm not going to tag anyone, but feel free to do that. As I told you, share it with me, because I want to see your videos too. That's all I've got for you today. It was a really long video, but it's a video that makes me happy because we have more than 500 subscribers. This small community is slowly growing up, and I'm really happy of the kind of people that are following me, because I do things that we in many ways are like-minded, and that we understand each other pretty clearly. And I'm really happy that you decided to spend some time with me and that you feel comfortable here and safe. So thank you again. Hopefully we'll have more videos like this to celebrate other marks in the subscriber count. And of course, remember that if you enjoy science fiction and fantasy books, this is the perfect place for you. So if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, leave a like, or share this video. But if you want to see more right now, you have more videos right here, right now. I'll see you in the next one.